This week on the podcast, I spoke with Astile Doherty, son of Pete Doherty and Lisa Moorish. His sister is also the daughter of Liam Gallagher. Astile's making his own way in life, performing spoken word, which he has done at some Libertines gigs, and is doing some work with another previous guest in the podcast, Louis Hillier from Another Day, as me and Louis spoke about. As well as that, Astile does some stuff on YouTube. His weeknight horror series on YouTube is a must for any horror fans. Spoke about all this plus lots more, including his relationship with his father. Hope you're all enjoying the podcast. Please keep liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing and all that other stuff. But more importantly, enjoy. On the podcast this time out, I have Astile Doherty. If you're not familiar with the name, the surname, he is the son of Peter Doherty and Lisa Moorish, and he's now getting on with his own life, doing lots of stuff: photography, poetry, bit of music, acting, and we're going to discuss all of this plus what's coming up for him next. But what I like to do at the start, Astile, is get right back to the start and what life was like for a young Astile growing up and whereabouts.
Well, thank you for having me on, by the way. Well, so I was born in Camden initially, and I lived in London for the first few years of my life in a I won't say it was humble beginnings. We lived in quite a large flat in Primrose Hill at the time, and until
Mm-hmm.
we moved to Wiltshire or Wiltshire, as I affectionately refer to it as. And we lived in what was called the East Court Schoolhouse, which was a large former boarding school that got converted into a house, basically. And I think my mum owned it. I can't remember if it was rented or owned by us, but it was opposite a cemetery, which I sort of look back on that and think to myself, because I've got a sort of morbid fascination with cemeteries and tombstones and all that,
Right.
and churches, but you're not really into that when you're about 7 years old. So I kind of look back on it and think, oh fuck, I could have explored that a little bit, and there was a sort of underlying creepiness about it because you're opposite, well, Earth that's full of dead bodies and all that. But
Yeah, it would freak me out, that.
it was quite easy because there was just like a Londis around the corner if you wanted a packet of randoms, which I used to get every day, and we had our dog Coco at the time, little Staffy, very well
Mm-hmm.
trained. My favorite trick with her was to go to the field, tell her to sit, and while I'm walking backwards, I go stay, stay, stay. I get about a mile and a half away, and then I just shout, "Come!" and she come charging at me like a fucking rabbit, which was a lot of fun. And the
Right.
school was only just around the corner. I fucking hated school, but you know, there was an easy walk and all that. And then we moved back to London, and well, that was a bit different. We were sort of all over the Crouch End area. I think we moved house like every year, and it was a bit chaotic. It wasn't until I was about 16 that I actually started getting the house to myself a little bit, like
Right.
being trusted to be home alone. Obviously, COVID and all that happened pretty much just after my sister moved out. I specifically remember being one of the first children whose parents was like, well, parent, my mum was just like, no, he's not coming in because the news was going on about it. And then the next day, whole country's on lockdown. I didn't even need to tell my school really. Um, and then we moved to Westcliff on Sea, where we were sort of living for a couple of years together. And then we got out of that flat, and I'm living in Lee at the moment, but I'm moving back to London in the summer, I think, if I can find a job and
Okay.
all that. But that's I wish I could give a more sort of profound childhood-based message, but it's pretty standard, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dad was there sometimes, not there other times, take us on tour sometimes and all that. My mum was always working hard, keep a roof over our heads and all that. Got to respect her for that at least. And I'd
So
say,
obviously, like, um, just jump in, like, so, like, with your mum being who she is and your dad being who he was, and obviously your sister and her dad, Liam Gallagher, was that a conscious effort for your mum then to kind of move away from London for a bit to kind of keep you at the spotlight?
um, I don't, I couldn't tell you actually. I think she just wanted a bit of change of pace. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like, she saw the opportunity to live in the countryside for a bit and seized it, and I really enjoyed it. Molly enjoyed it. You know, we like that big old house, and you know, I wouldn't say it was for any particular ulterior reasons. I think it was just sort of wanted to get a change of scenery at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
but like, because when you grow up in that kind of world, I guess, like, you know, you like I remember her telling me that apparently we used to go around to Paul Weller's daughter's house when I was an infant
Right.
because my mum was sort of friends with him, or I think still is, and she's obviously still good friends with Noel and a few other people from back in the day. Um, like that was just like the world I lived in. You know, like you see these people at like the occasional house party or
Mm-hmm.
go to a gig. Like my dad's work didn't really faze me at all. I thought that's just what he does, you know.
Yeah.
But, I saw how mental it was though, which is sort of what swayed me away from picking up a guitar because I thought, oh fuck, is I don't think this is for me. I stick to my cymbal playing now because I think that's a bit easier.
So, like, touching on that, then, like, the next bit I was going to come to was influences and ambitions. So, uh, as like a teenager, what was your ambitions? What did you already have an idea of what you wanted to do?
I had fuck all ambition when I was a teenager. I was a lazy, moody little wanker that thought I could just sort of get away with editing YouTube videos and not doing anything at school and just hoping for the best. You know, it wasn't until I was about 18 where I sort of looked at myself after I had probably the best birthday month ever. I would say that was probably my best birthday, the 18th. The 19th is a close contender for second, but the 18th was pretty good. Um, I just didn't know what I was doing with myself. You know, I thought, oh, maybe if I keep making these videos, they'll start getting like millions of views, and obviously that hasn't happened yet. But I did want to do acting, and I think at one point I did want to be a singer, but like I sort of had the disadvantage of growing up in a world where you know, it's not as simple as Alan McGee being in the audience and being able to sign you like that.
Mm-hmm.
You live in a world where it's next to impossible to get signed and well, it sounds shitty, but next to impossible to make any money doing it. You know, it's like that was the realistic thing that sort of faced me and the reason I like well my mum sort of set me up with her agent, which is how I got more into acting. And the thing is, though, the acting world is in of itself really a complicated mess because like everyone does self tapes now. That was another COVID issue was that
Mm-hmm.
that resulted in less in-person auditions and usually if you get an in-person audition nowadays, you should consider yourself really lucky. You know, that's how I got the part in Paddington. I did a little self tape. I guess I did a good job because they said we want him to come in for an in-person audition, and then I met the director Dougal, and it was better because he was telling me what to do. You know, like he was giving me feedback as we were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a self-tape, like sometimes they give you really vague descriptions as well, so you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And they might be thinking, you know, oh, this is good, but it's not what I want, and because it's not that good, or it's not good enough, let's not get him in for an in-person one. It's really fickle. Like I went up for, but even then, you're not guaranteed to get the part still. So like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you have to. I mean, Olivia Colman's mum, I believe, one time she came home crying from an audition, and her mum said to her, if you can't take the rejection, then you're in the wrong business," or something like that. Like, I went for an audition for Strike, the new season of Strike that came out a few months ago. And
Uh-huh.
I thought I did a good job, but I didn't get it. I don't think there was a particular reason. I think I just didn't look the part because someone said to me they watched it and the person playing him was like a kind of weird, creepy sort of person, like someone you wouldn't want to bump into in an alleyway. And I thought, all right, fair enough. It can be as simple as the wrong eye color, the wrong look, the wrong hair color.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it seems like such a tough industry, and you could get a part, and then you could be to work for 2 or 3 years as well.
yeah.
It's not the most stable.
Well, I mean, talking of Paddington, um the lady that the Maddie, the actress who plays the daughter, I've sort of got to know her a little bit. She's really lovely, by the way. Her day job is she's a tattoo artist. That's why
Right.
in Paddington in Peru, when there's like close-ups of her arm, you can see like tattoos on her. Like yeah, that's like her day job. That's what she's like properly passionate about. And that's like really admirable to me that like and it's a healthy reminder that you do need something to fill the pockets every now and then because
Yeah.
unless you're Kurt Russell or Johnny Depp, you can't expect to always be in front of a camera constantly. You know?
It's obviously like checking out your Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're big into your photography, big into kind of posting posting bundles of pictures. So was that something for school?
That was that's just me. I just like taking pictures, I like the feeling of having a camera in my hand. I'm not like a professional photo
Hmm.
editor. Like all the pictures I post are as you see them. That's the raw image captured digitally. Because I'm too fucking skint to get a film camera as much as I'd like to. Um, those are really expensive. My buddy Jude's got a film camera actually. He's always bringing it to parties and that, but he doesn't bring it out very often because film reels are obscenely expensive nowadays. Like I think there's only one factory in the world that still like processes film for you now. Like
Right.
I think that's on the verge of shutting down, which is sad, obviously. But no, I like photography. Like landscapes, people,
Hmm.
um, dirty alleyways, weird little trinkets in interesting locations, like stuffed birds and all that. Churches, cemeteries. I like that stuff. Like one of my favorite pictures I took was when I went to Cornwall. Um, it was of the fields by the by the main beach
Hmm.
as you go up the big old hill, and it was just like, fucking hell, imagine being on acid here. What an experience.
And obviously, just going back a bit, obviously, you mentioned about the 18th was your best birthday month.
Yeah.
Hats off to you for that. I thought I was, but I used to have like a birthday week, and I thought I was ripping the arse at it. But birthday months is something else entirely. Um, I mean, you must have been proper caning it in to have a birthday month.
Well, I had a lot of people to see. I saw my dad that year, I think, for the first time in ages at that
Hmm.
point. I went to my Nana Jackie's and Grandad Pete's. I went to the Albion Rooms, we had a little private
Yeah, yeah.
party there back when it was still a hotel, like open to the public. And I saw a lot of my mates, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just good times all around, really. I got absolutely wankered though, because I'll tell you one thing about Carl. He can drink like a rhinoceros, like tequila, Jaeger bombs, vodka, gin. You give it to him, and like I wanted to go to bed at 2 o'clock, but I didn't want to seem uncool, so I sort of just stayed up. I kept forgetting the bartender's name and calling him something else, which he kept angrily correcting me about. Fair enough. And Carl just kept ordering in Jaeger bombs, and I kept doing them, and I was annihilated the next morning.
He doesn't strike me as a Jaeger bomb sort of a guy. I would have thought him as like whiskey or something like
No, like I said, if it's got alcohol in it, he'll drink it.
that.
They had a no booze policy because of my dad's foot on this tour, and Carl was saying it was actually starting to piss him off a little bit. So, you know.
So, like in terms of the touring, have you been on tour with him or anything like that? Like just kind of.
Yeah, I've since I was a kid, I was just sort of like joining him on the road. I remember one of the things I hated about school was that I couldn't hang out with my dad on tour because I had to go back
Hmm.
to school. But my favorite one was when I was about 10. We the Libertines went to Italy and we joined them on the tour bus and all that. Me, my mum, and Molly. And that was the first time I had a proper pizza made in Italy. It was still from like a cheap takeaway restaurant, but it was
Yeah.
like miles above any pizza I've ever had. And that was during my phase of refusing to eat pizza with cheese on it. So, you know, the fact that it was that good even without cheese was interesting. But I mean, like I got up at the oh, what's it bloody called? The venue in Camden a few months ago. Got up on stage and read a little bit of my spoken word, uh,
Hmm.
which everyone seemed to enjoy. Unfortunately, it wasn't the night that The Guardian reviewed, so I kind of missed out on that. But it was still nice because it was a nice feeling being there. I mean, I was invited. I took my girlfriend at the time, and it was like a little flashback to like when I was a kid, like going to watch him and being backstage and all that, like in Italy and
Hmm.
France and various parts of London. Like I remember I went to a couple Ali Pali shows. That was really fun. Um, there was a really great one. There was one show where I took a really great picture of Gary, but that was obviously when I was like 11, and that I lost that phone and I lost that picture, and it's I still remember it so vividly. It's such a good photo of him. He is because he's got those really wide eyes, and he's quite dark skinned, so like you can really see the whiteness when he opens up his
Uh-huh.
pupils. Just a lot of good memories from that time frame, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it does like see when you see there's been a lot of kind of footage the last 3 or 4 years of them backstage and so I've had Jack Jones for Trampoline on the podcast, and I always mentioned to him about how much a family it all looks like backstage. Everybody seems to get on. It just seems to be so relaxed with the dogs walking about and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
to be involved in that, I mean, I'd love to come and interview your dad at some point, but he's really hard to pin down.
yeah, I know.
Um, so like obviously you touched on that then, doing like the going up and doing the spoken word.
hmm
When did the spoken word come into things for you? And obviously that kind of leads on to another day as
Yeah.
well.
So as I said, I did go through my band phase. Me and our buddy Luke Berry, we were gonna put a band together. But as I said, it's quite difficult to start something like that up. It's really not as simple as let's just go and do it because especially if you're hiring like strangers, like people who don't really know to be your drummer and your bassist and all that. And we wrote a couple tunes. I've still got audio recordings of them, but I can't half play a banjo, so I can come up with lyrics and melodies and all that jazz, but I can't really translate them. And I've got no desire to learn any instruments. It just doesn't appeal to me for whatever reason. So I just had all these songs, I guess, in my little notebooks, and I was like, "What the fuck am I going to do with this?" And came to me. Louis from another day said, "I was sorry to hear about the band." I was like, "Oh, it's all right. Didn't really do anything." And he said, you've got all those songs." I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you want to do something cool?" I was like, "All right, go on." And he's like, "Well, how about you come up on stage at the beginning of a gig and read some poetry?" And I'll be the first to admit, I used to think poetry was really fucking naff. And to be honest, I still do a little bit. Sometimes when I'm writing it, I do like I just don't I don't even like the word poem, which is why I always call it spoken word. It's a bit of a neurodivergent thing. I just I don't like certain words for some reason. They sound wrong to me.
Right.
But I've sort of gotten into it, like, and I thought I've got all these tunes and all these lyrics that personally I think are good based on because and because I just sort of write whatever comes to my mind. So I'll be the first to admit sometimes I look at other lyrics or little passages other people have written. I'm like, I'll try and word this in a way so it's so it's original. Everyone does that, I think. And as long as it's true to me and what I'm thinking in my head, then I think it's all right. So I just took those lyrics and, you know, jingled up the some of the words and some of the verses. Obviously, repeating a chorus is all well and good when there's music in the background, but when you're reading the same passage over and over, it becomes really repetitive. So
Hmm.
I just altered them, turned them into poems. I've got about probably over 100 now at this point, and we did it at that first gig in Camden last year, and at the Seabright Arms, and everyone liked it. So Lou was like, "Okay, this is a thing now." That was sort of like testing the waters, and the audience reacted really well. And yeah, so, and then of course I disappear for a bit, and then I come back and I'm whacking my star-shaped tambourine, which I did not steal from Liam. I'm just going to make that clear. I think he still has his. I bought mine on Amazon. Um, wait, no, I didn't. I think I bought it on eBay actually. I can't remember. And yeah, so I like it. I'm enjoying it. We're going on tour, obviously, on the 14th, starting
Yeah,
in
in tour in March, that's
yeah.
right.
Going to Brighton, Nottingham, Sheffield, Liverpool, the Jacaranda, which is a really great venue. I've got a mate in Liverpool. I've never actually met her in person before, but
Right.
we know each other through social media. And when we went on a trip to Liverpool last year in November, I said to her, well, let's meet up finally. But she just coincidentally went to New York that week. So, but she said she's definitely going to be in town for this one. So that's going to be nice. We got the paper dress vintage on the 21st. Really looking forward to that. And I think we cap it off in Brighton on the 27th,
Yeah,
which,
it was 6 dates. So I looked at. I've just flipped through my notes here, and I've just come away from them again. So, I but uh, so obviously you touched on, or before we go into Paddington, another guest that I've got coming on soon is the band Soaked, and I just happened to mention to you, I've got this band on. Do you know them? And apparently you're pals with, is it the lead singer?
yeah, I'm pals with all of them. Particularly Brandon though. He was like the first sort of musician, like I mean, like young person, modern musician that I became friends with. So he's the reason I owe him a lot to be honest, because he's actually the reason that I sort of got interested in music. He's the reason I like Oasis. Before that, I couldn't really give a fuck about them, but he really likes them, and he got me into them. And I think my mum and my sister kind of resent him for it a little bit because I don't shut up about Oasis sometimes. Um, like I've been to see Liam live before, like I think once, and this is still like one of my favorite little claims to fame. He dedicated Wonderwall to me, and
Right.
the reason he did that was because on the drive there, I was I was giving him my top 10 songs of all time at the time, and Girls and Boys by Blur was on the playlist. And the look of resentment on that man's face, that scowl he does, like it was proper. And then, when he gets on stage, he's like, "This is the last song. It's called Wonderwall. I want to dedicate it to a kid called Astile. Put it in your fucking top 10, man. None of that girls and boys shit on there." And that was the last time I saw him, like 6 years ago now, and that's one of my fondest memories. But anyway, a bit off topic. But so I was working at a little cocktail bar in Lee, and Brandon and Ronnie walk in, and I thought to myself, "Oh fuck," because they had like two massive beers on them, and I could tell they'd been hanging out. And obviously, I'm not really a snob, but I'm an anxious person who's easily intimidated by people. So I think
Right.
these two sort of geezer sounding blokes walking in, saying, "Oh, is it all right if we drink in here?" And my co-worker Zeph was just like, no, sorry." He's like, "Okay, we'll finish these and we'll come back." I was like, "All right, cool." And one thing I thought was, fucking hell, what a beautiful head of hair on Brandon. I mean, and then they came back later. They had a few amarettos on ice. And I sort of had a rule at the time. My rule was that I didn't really want to just go hang out with people that I met at work, especially if they're customers. But when me and Zeph was shutting up shop, Brandon was like, "We're gonna go to the smack for a bit. Do you want to come with?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." I don't know why, just something about them felt safe. I couldn't really tell you what it is, but they just seemed like good lads. So I went to the smack, hung out for a bit, and I can't remember if it was that night, but it was either that night or the next one when I saw him because I said, "Mate, you got to come back to the bar and chill. It's always a bit dead in the winter." And he's like, "All right, cool." So at one point we did end up going back to where he was living at the time, which was like
Hmm.
a little Airbnb property because his flat got flooded. And we had a lot of good nights there, just mucking about, watching Oasis on the TV, like we watched Main Road, and that was the first time I ever heard the song Whatever, and it was Noel doing it acoustically with the orchestra and doing the Octopus's Garden outro. And
Hmm.
that's sort of how I fell in love with them. It was Whatever slash Octopus's Garden, and Brandon fucking forcing me to watch the Main Road performance, the really shitty bootleg on YouTube. And because of him, I went to Molotov's Youth Explosion where they were performing. It was funny. I was in Hoxton at the time because it was my mate's birthday. I
Hmm.
left to go to the gig, went back to my mate's flat to go celebrate their birthday. I literally showed up for half an hour just to watch Soaked because, that's my boys. And I walked in as they were going on stage, and Brandon was like, "Astile!" really loud into the mic and pointed at me. And because of that, someone took a picture of me in the audience because I was at the front. It was a crowd shot, but like you could really see me because I was wearing this dark blue floral pattern jacket that my dad gave me a few years ago. It used to be a bit big on me, but I've sort of grown into it now.
Right.
And I can't remember if it was on their actual Instagram or if it was on Izzy's Instagram, but someone posted on their story with me circled saying, "Who is this guy? Does anyone know who this guy is? And if you do, can you please tell us?" And I popped up going, "That's me." And so Matthew and Izzy met with me in this really nice little cocktail bar, and they basically said they wanted me to film their ventures at the Youth Explosion gigs and like turn it into like an online, I guess, web series, like Molotov's behind the scenes. I sort
Hmm.
of put my own little spin on it, like editing clips of the gig itself in between backstage antics, like recording Matthew sitting in the corner, like practicing his guitar, getting his hair done by his mum, and like Izzy, like walking around with her shin covering boots, the sort of 60s go-go boots she wears, interviewing Ice, their drummer at the time. Um, and those videos have not seen the light of day. I t- Again, they were my own. I edited them in my own little unconventional way. And Izzy did say they were good, but I guess they just,
Yeah, get them posted up.
yes, I guess they just decided not to go through with it. I'm grateful I did it because I just sort of became mates with him. Matthew's he's a proper Paul Weller. He's got an attitude, but
Hmm.
he's a nice chap, and he's very good at what he does.
And where are they based? Are they down in Kent as well?
The Molotovs, no, they're based in London. I've
Right.
been to their flat a couple of times, many a drunk nights there. I remember one time I was crashing there. I was sitting on the roof, and I went to sit in the little like chair they had out there, and it was soaking wet. So I had to sleep without any underpants on that night because they were fucking soaked through. That's rock and roll for you, for doing
Yeah, that's rock and roll.
stupid shit like that. And then of course through the Molotovs I met Louis because he's going out with Izzy, and I sort of started hanging out with him. He's like, "You got to come down to the farm. Our buddy Luke he wants to be in a band." And I'm like, "All right." And then I've already touched that. We tried to do it for a bit, and that never came to fruition. And then they were my mates first. Like I wouldn't be working with them and doing all this if I didn't like them or didn't know them.
Yeah,
Like if they were just some random poxy band, I would have probably been like, maybe. But because it's them, when Louis said, do you want to do your spoken word stuff and like host the night essentially, I'd just be like, yeah, fuck it. Of course.
uh,
Like, why would I
uh,
not want to? The first time I went there, it was so good. So Louis has this song. I'm not going to disclose any details because I think he's saving it. It's a complete piss take, but it's brilliant. And when I first went round the farmhouse, we just got stoned, and he put the song on, and it was like it's unforgettable. It was like listening to Pink Floyd for the first time.
right.
Truly, truly unique experience, and
I look forward to that. I'm going to get on him and tell him
I
about
don't know if I
that.
don't know if it'll ever actually be released, but just know there is a song that is a masterpiece on Louis's laptop, and I would strongly suggest asking to hear it if one ever ends up at his house because it is incredible.
And just on that, then, is he taught you how to do any of these backflips or anything?
Um, no, I'll be the first to admit I'm not the most limber person on the planet. Like, I do a bit of building work every now and then because the house that I currently live in, next door, they're renovating. So if the builder needs help, I just say, yeah, all right, and I help them out a tiny bit. Um, so that's my exercise routine. Just whenever I'm working, like carrying heavy blocks and all that. I've never been particularly like flexible, and also I'm an asthmatic, so I'm like
Hmm.
too scared to do things that I know will tucker my lungs out. So I was in the hospital in November actually.
Right.
I got a really, really bad chest infection. That was my fault because I knew I was ill, but I went to work like in the bar that I work in anyway, and they had to send me home like 2 hours early because I just couldn't breathe. And and I'm too anxious. Like I find it difficult enough talking to my closest friends. I don't think I'd have the courage to teach myself how to backflip, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've been all right tonight. For being anxious, you've powered through and come on and spoke to me. So,
Yeah.
uh, obviously, you mentioned Paddington. Then, I've not saw it yet, but I'm going to go and check it out. What sort of role do you play in that?
It's sort of it's a very small bit. It's like a reach for your popcorn, you miss me kind of thing. It's a very brief little role at the end where well, spoiler alert. So at the end of the film, there's like a little montage of what the family's doing after the trip, and
Hmm.
the mother like coming to terms with her children going away from home, the son, you know, showing off his amazing inventions at fairs and stuff, and the dad becoming brave and parachuting out of his office and stuff like that. And Maddie's character, I always forget if it's Trudy or Judy. I feel really terrible. I don't even know her name. But Maddie, so she goes to university and she writes an article for the school newspaper. So I play the newspaper editor at the university, and it's a really great bit. It's only like 10 seconds long, but I can't really explain it that well, but because it's one of those things we'd have to be there. But the amount of detail and preparation that went into that one single brief moment
Yeah,
was impeccable and incredible. Hats off to Dougal and all the runners and all the grips, just everyone involved in that, all the background actors, all the set designers, costume people. Like everything was going on, like that room was full of so much life. And all I said was, well done, Judy. Of course, with a few changes, this could make the front page. You know, that kind of like sort of semi-awkward wooden humor that Paddington's known for,
Hmm.
kind of quirky delivery. So I just basically just give her a really backhanded compliment to a article that she spent like a month writing. And she's like, she looks happy at first, but then she's like, changes, question mark. And I sort of just nod my head. I think originally we filmed about 30 seconds, but it worked for the scene, how short it was, you know, because it
Hmm.
was like a little montagey bit. If they had included everything we shot, which was just literally like two or three more lines said by me, I think I had to shout at someone requesting a copy of page three on my desk now. And we did a little gag where the phone rings and I lunge forward and go for it. That's not in the movie, and justifiably so because the way it was edited in the final cut works. You know,
Yeah.
it's obviously heartbreaking when something you work on is trimmed down like that, but that's filmmaking, you know?
But don't get, I've heard stories of people going to like the first screenings of things, and it turns out that they're not in them at all. So
Yeah.
at least you've got a wee part. I was going to watch it today actually, and I went on my Fire Stick and I found the Bob Dylan film, so I ended up watching that instead.
All right.
But I'll
I
agree,
couldn't comment on that. I haven't seen that movie yet.
it's decent, man, decent.
I'll have to watch it.
Um, and like last thing, um, YouTube obviously
All right. Yeah.
you get this stuff on YouTube like the horror stuff.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that? And for like any viewers, for any listeners that are listening to this, can I describe what you're doing with that?
Oh, so I've been writing my own like short stories for a while now, at least like well over a year. My idyllic fantasy world, I wanted them to be like TV shows, a TV episode. Um, and I actually was going to work with a director, but it just sort of didn't happen. Um, I worked with him on a music video for this singer called Phoebe Green. Really, really lovely, lovely,
Hmm.
very talented woman, by the way. And we were gonna try and do something, me and the director, Niall Trask, and it just sort of didn't happen. And I thought, well, why don't I turn them into short stories instead of scripts? Because that's probably going to be easier to get out there. But of course, you know, approaching publishers, it's not as simple as one would like it to be. So I thought, well, what the fuck am I going to do? And the idea just sort of popped into my head. I'll turn them into like radio drama type audio stories. So what I do is it's called Weeknight Horror. It's a horror anthology, and the
Hmm.
gimmick is sort of that every I serialize them. So each story is about four or five parts. The current one, it was supposed to come out on Friday, but I ran out of time, so it's been delayed till this oncoming Friday. You can catch that at 8:30, obviously.
Hmm.
And that's sort of what I do to make it unique, because every horror anthology has to have some kind of gimmick to make it unique, like Creep Show, um, Tales from the Crypt also comes to mind, Tales of the Unexpected, like an overarching theme. And because horror is such a broad um, genre with so many subgenres, you know, like horror thriller, horror comedy, gory horror, splatter horror, um, like Italian cannibal horror. There's just so many varieties of horror. It's the perfect thing to anthologize, in my opinion. And so I've been doing that weekly, Monday nights, Tuesday nights. You know, it ranges from stories about haunted cars to haunted green horses and haunted radio stations and serial killers, all that pleasant stuff that we love. So, you know,
And how's it going? Like, what's the reception been to that?
people seem to like it. They don't get loads of views. Ironically enough, the videos I make that get more views are my reviews of old television shows and films. So,
Hmm.
in my last one, which it's got a respectable number, it's got like 60K views, I think, which is all right for a channel my size.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's nothing compared to Mr. Beast, but you know, it's something. That I reviewed a really old episode of an anthology show called Out of This World, which was a science fiction ITV show.
Mm-hmm.
And the one I did most recently was about the 1981 Day of the Triffids serial by the BBC. I'm currently working on another one that'll be out soon. Those videos do actually get quite a healthy reception. They got lots of lovely comments, lots of thumbs up. Like I said, they get respectable numbers, and I do enjoy making them. But my main passion is the horror stuff, but that only gets like a couple hundred if I'm lucky. I think the most viewed one is the first one, A Night at the Green Horse Inn, part one. It's got like I think that's got 2,000, whereas all the other episodes are anywhere between 200 to 400.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it because I like it, like it doesn't benefit me financially at all, but like
Yeah.
that's
You
sort of where
sound
my
a bit like
passion is.
myself. That I think
Yeah,
that's what this is like with the podcast. I've never made any money out of it at all, but I just enjoy speaking to interesting people.
yeah,
And if maybe 100, 200 people listen in, then it's worth it, I suppose.
yeah. Well, I haven't announced it yet, but what I'm gonna do is, I guess I'm announcing it now. I've got a plan. I've created a profile. I'm gonna start posting on something called Substack,
Hmm.
which anyone who wants to be a writer has been told you should have a Substack account because then I can post like I'm probably going to post like the manuscripts on there so you can like read the stories. If you don't want to listen to my stupid voice and my atrocious audio mixing, then you can just read it yourself, and there's an option to pledge. You don't have to, but like it supports the writer and the creator, and apparently a lot of publishers and other authors do go on there looking for material,
Hmm.
like to potentially um, you know, give them a chance. Like I'm so dedicated to my writing that, if someone like a publishing company came up to me and said, we will like we do want to publish this as an actual anthology, but you got to delete the videos and remove the Substack things, I'd be like, yeah, all right, sure. That's how passionate I am about it. Like I
Hmm.
take it very seriously. But while I've got the option to have to do it independently and see what happens, I'm gonna do that. If that
Yeah.
makes
I
sense.
know
Yeah.
Simon Mason. I don't do you know him for I think he's done Margate. He obviously played with your dad at some point.
All right.
Um he had a Substack as well. He used to update that pretty regular. I used to follow that. But so that was kind of leading into my next question. Then what's next? So you get that coming up. Anything else other than that?
Um, I'm trying to think. So, well, still writing poetry. I'll probably be posting that on the Substack as well. Got some new ones. Not to be done live for now,
Hmm.
but maybe in the future. Still, like, I'm probably going to chase up my agent, give her a call tomorrow or something, see what's going on in terms of acting. Uh, finish the audio editing for the next story. Keep working with Another Day, see what happens there. Looking to get a job in London so I can move up there, get my own little flat somewhere, hopefully. I mean, the housing market is dire at the moment.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Probably just end up in a house share or something like that, which is, I like the idea of that. It's fun, something to do in your 20s.
Plenty of material in that as well.
Yeah, yeah, true. And yes, all I can say is I'll just see what happens tomorrow. That's all I can do when people ask me what's next. I've just
Brilliant.
tomorrow
That's a
brings.
brilliant kind of mindset. Brilliant way of thinking.
Well, I just
And
you can't.
what does your old man think of your poetry? Obviously, he's quite into the spoken word, as is Jack Jones. So, what's he think of your spoken word?
Well, I actually just remembered. I can't believe I forgot this, but I'm sort of partnering up with this girl I know, to do event organizing. Like I did one at the Albion Rooms in January.
Hmm.
I was hosting the night and reading my spoken word. We had Laurie Wright, Charles Bueller, Max Bianco, Wes King.
That's right. I was watching clips of that last week.
Yeah, so I want to do more of that, and I think the Albion Rooms have said they gladly let us do it again, and I think even Justine's was like you could do a night there as well. Um, So, sort of leading into answering a question, my dad, he likes it. He's very supportive of it. When I did it was the Roundhouse, that's what it was. I knew I'd remember eventually.
Hmm.
When I read that poem at the Roundhouse, My Little Songbird, which a lot of people have said is one of my best ones, so I'm very happy about that. I wrote it about my mum. It's sort of based on one of the good memories I have of her. It's not about her, but it was inspired by something she said. So you could
Hmm.
say it is dedicated to her. And he started crying. My dad, when I got off stage, it was like, he's like, "That's really beautiful." And I was like, "Yeah, I wrote that about mum." And he was like almost crying. I was a little bit like, "Fucking pull yourself together. You're going on stage in a minute." But I was also quite flattered that I could impact someone else like that with something I wrote. So,
Oh, that's brilliant.
even if I did sort of pinch the title and whatnot from Fleetwood Mac, but you know, it's yeah, he likes it in the same way that I'm proud of him. He's kicked the drugs and all that. He's getting in
It's
getting into shape. He's got the girl. He's got the kid. He's got the dough. He's got the house. He's as I say, we're mutually proud of each other. You know.
that's brilliant to hear. I mean,
Well, he came
um,
all the way down from fucking Bath to see me in the hospital.
right.
Got in like a 6 hour taxi. I remember his tour manager calling me and saying, "Sorry, your dad couldn't come see you." I was like, "No, he's on his way right now." And the silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. And I think Andy was a bit worried he'd get in trouble for that, but no harm, no foul. Dad got back to Bath all right. He stopped by the hospital cafe to get a coffee, and then he was well back on his way. And I will say the taxi driver probably had a field day with the company credit card. Put it that way. You know.
Yeah, I would. It is so nice to see him. He looks so healthy. It just it's nice to see him because there was a point years ago where people were worried that he might not be here. So it's for however I feel about having him here, it must be tenfold for you.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Um, so the last bit of the podcast, obviously, it's called Time for Heroes.
All right.
Um, I sprung this on you. I don't know if I told you during the chat, but the last part it is asked for my guests to pick four heroes to come for dinner.
All right.
Why are they your heroes, and what would you cook for them? They can be they can be dead or alive. They can be for any aspect of your life you want. But I just four heroes, and what would you cook for them?
Um, Heroes. I mean, obviously, most people say that heroes got to wear a cape, but my heroes are just people that I admire, people that I think have done good things with their lives without trying to think too hard about how it affects other people, but how it's important to them.
Hmm.
I probably would bring John Squire, and he could sit at the head of the table. Uh,
Right.
he's one of my heroes. He's like, in my opinion, one of the greatest living guitarists at the moment. Um, so John Squire. Um,
Which is funny actually. Just like before you go on, when I had Louis on, he picked Johnny Marr,
all right.
who people would also say is one of the greatest guitarists of that generation. So,
Yeah, we've got a little joke, me and him and Charlie, because we all like the Smiths. We think it's really funny that one of the greatest guitar riffs ever written has lyrics that are literally "Some girls are bigger than others, some girls' mothers are bigger than other girls' mothers." When you actually listen to like the isolated guitar, you can't help but think to yourself, Morrissey was fucking with Johnny Marr. Like he definitely was. So yeah, I'd say John Squire. Um, George Harrison.
uh-huh.
Um, I'll actually say the keyboardist from the Manic Street Preachers, Nick Naismith. I know him personally. He's a great guy. He's one of my heroes.
Right.
Um, I'd have him round as well. And who would my last one be? I'm trying to think who's a real hero to me. Um, Dead or Alive, you say?
Yeah, dead or alive.
So John Squire, um, George Harrison. Who the fuck did I just say again? Uh,
The,
uh,
the guy for Man Street Preachers.
yeah, Nick Naismith and Cyndi Lauper.
Right.
Cyndi Lauper around. And let's just say this is an ideal world where none of them are vegan or vegetarian or whatever. I don't know if any of them are, but let's say they'll eat
Hmm.
anything. I'd make him one of my marinated chickens. Sometimes I do a honey and mustard. Sometimes I just mix up a bunch of shit like some spices, some soy sauce, some lemon juice, some whatever, and I experiment. And usually it turns out all right as long as I don't overcook the chicken.
Yeah.
And then just chop up some veggies, like carrots, zucchini, um, peppers. Like use one of those little chopping things, where it's like a little mesh thing, and you slam it down.
Yeah, yeah.
It cubes them like into little tiny cubes, and I chuck those in a frying pan. Chuck the chicken in another frying pan, put them together and mix them all up. Maybe microwave some rice in a bowl in the microwave. Roast some veggies like squash, potatoes, onions, maybe some peppers and some more carrots to be roasted in addition to being fried. And I get a really nice bottle of champagne and a really nice bottle of red wine, and probably do a little side salad as well, or maybe like some homemade coleslaw, something like that. And
Brilliant.
just
Sounds amazing.
pig out, gents and ladies, because like I said, I like John Squire because well, I look at him and I think he's one of me, but he's a bit more introverted because he's quite quiet and shy.
Oh,
And
aye.
I love watching him live because he's like playing these really mean, complicated, and long riffs and guitar solos, and he's just standing there like it's the most normal thing in the world. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what you're doing. And when he was younger, he sort of had like a schoolboyish look about him, which I thought was quite funny when you put him next to Ian Brown, who, was sort of famous for his, I guess, monkeyish features. I mean,
Yeah.
first solo album's literally called Unfinished Monkey Business. I really admire John just as a person. He just seems like a cool bloke.
I
Someone,
mean, he's quite
someone,
witty as well. Like he's got that dry wit. Did you see him on
yeah,
Jonathan Ross when he was on with Liam Gallagher?
yeah. I really like their Radio X interview where he tells the story about Foz and how it caused some guy's girlfriend to leave him. Which I thought was quite funny. Yeah, he is very witty when you get him going. And I like his art as well. I think he's a great painter,
Yeah, I
especially
like all that stuff.
especially the album and single covers. Like all the splatter work is fucking brilliant. Obviously, the lemon wheels were actually nailed to the painting; they weren't part of it.
Hmm.
Uh, I like him. He's a good bloke. I admire Nick because I think most Mannix fans would agree with me when I say that the keyboard is a massive part of their sound on like their post Ritchie albums. So.
Hmm.
He's brilliant, and he's just one of the sweetest men you'll ever meet. Really nice guy.
Well, I mean, they were on Man Street Preachers were on Sunday brunch a couple of weeks ago, and it was just James Dean Bradfield and the keyboardist that performed at the end.
Yeah,
So
there you go. There you go. And I really like and admire Cyndi Lauper. She's just a quirky worky. She's great. I always thought she was better than Madonna, in terms of like 80s pop stars, but that's just my opinion. Who was the other one I said? I've already
George
forgot.
Harrison.
Oh, right, George Harrison. I mean, he's my favorite Beatle. There was a bit of a weird story that came out about him recently. Apparently, he wanted to buy someone's 15-year-old daughter for an evening, which is a little bit disturbing, to be honest. It's sort of made me have a bit of a second opinion of him.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I've not seen that. That would put me off a bit as well.
I mean, that's weird. That's wrong. But like, as in terms of a musician, I think he was the best Beatle, objectively, subjectively, sorry. Um, like, in a way, it was a good thing that his songs were sort of repressed by Paul and John because he came out with that incredible triple vinyl album. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think it's also because they secretly knew that he was probably a bit better than them. So, you know,
Hmm.
if they just gave him like, there's probably songs that never saw the light of day that he probably like wrote in his spare time and then just forgot about. You know, I mean, John Lennon had some songs that he forgot about, and he only re-recorded them before he died because he was lucky enough to find them in like a desk drawer because he recorded them. But you didn't really get that with George. I think there are probably some unrecorded rehearsals that are probably fucking brilliant.
Mm.
It's a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I do think there are some lost George Harrison tapes that probably just in a landfill, you know, sunken
Yeah,
into
well,
the
I
earth.
mean, well, you look at that documentary, that Get Back documentary, and all that footage that nobody really knew about,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
was there all that time. So there'll be so much stuff, hidden gems that still to be unearthed.
yeah.
It's amazing.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you, man.
Nice speaking to you.
No,
All
I've
the
had a good
best with
time.
the tour and stuff coming up in March and everything else that's coming up. Everybody check out your YouTube channel. I'll put a link to that for next Friday for the latest instalment of your YouTube stuff.
Weeknight horror. Yes.
Midnight Horror, that's it.
And
Aye.
yeah, well, thanks for having me on. I'll do a little plug, Astile_Doherty on Instagram,
Mhm.
Astile Doherty Productions on YouTube. It's not an official production company, don't worry. That's kind of it. That's the only social media I really use. So, I'm not. Yeah, that's me.
Brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Well, thank you very much, Martin.
Cheers, mate.
All right.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod at gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.